Hello, creative enthusiasts. I'm Aaronica Cole from The Needle and the Bell.
And I'm Julian Collins from Julian Creates.
And welcome to another exciting episode of the Audacious podcast. Ready to embark on a journey where audacity meets creativity and crafting? Well, friends, you found your destination right here.
As your guides, we're thrilled to blend the worlds of sewing, crafting, and life's audacious adventures.
In each episode, we're stirring up a cup of inspiration, laughter, and, of course, candid conversations. From the buzzing topics in the sewing community to the projects we're currently immersed in, we've got your creative cravings covered.
And don't forget our special guest interviews, deep dives into weekly themes, and thought-provoking, audacious questions that will spark your creativity.
So, whether you're a seasoned sewist or just exploring your crafting curiosity, this podcast is your cozy haven for all things audacious and crafty.
So grab your favorite project, your beverage of choice, and let's take another sip from the cup of audacious living. So hey y'all, we have an Am I the Asshole for y'all today? Okay, so this is from Reddit, and it is, am I the asshole for refusing to sew a dress for my mother, even though I'm a professional seamstress? Okay. I, 23 female, and my mom, 56 female, still live together. I dropped out of university and became a seamstress because it is really what I wanted to do. Relatable. Recently, she asked me to do a set. It's going to be a bit floral, elegant, outdoorsy wedding. So I asked what she wants, and she says that she really liked the baby blue set I did for a client. She says it will fit perfectly for the theme, and I agree. Small problem. The fabric I made the set with was the last piece I had. I tell her I can make the set in a different color with the ones I already had, and she says that she really liked the blue and won't wear any other color. I ask her if she minds getting fabric since I'm strapped for cash, and she starts to yell at me. She says that she is my mother, and can't I do something for her for once? She is not a client, so she is not going to pay for fabric. Yada, yada, yada. I get it if she was strapped for cash too, but she ain't. So I was a little upset that was her reaction, but I just went with it. I bought the fabric, but she yelled at me saying the baby blue she wanted wasn't this ugly gray, which was literally the same fabric I had bought earlier, but she won't listen. She then starts to bug me to start immediately, since the client and my mom are the same size. I could just use the pattern I used before, but I just wanted a small break first. Despite her yelling, I made myself dinner before marking the measurements on the fabric. Now, if you ever sewn before, you know that you always cut an inch or two bigger to make room for errors, seam allowance, and so on. She was not okay with this, since she thought I was making it bigger and got into an argument with me over weight. After trying to explain, finally decided I had enough that day, folded the fabric, and went to sleep to continue tomorrow, and hoped she would be more understanding. Child of God. Well, when I woke up, the drawer I put my work in progress projects was open. Big red flag. I looked into it and the baby blue was missing. Second red flag. I immediately went around the house to find my mom and ask her about the fabric. And when I did find her, she was sitting beside my mannequin and the fabric was on it. The extra inches were cut off. She turned to me with a grin on her face and said, "Look, I fixed it for you. It fits perfectly now. So you can get to work immediately today without having to alter it." I was so angry that I tore the fabric off the bottle, bunched it up, and tucked it in the drawer. She came after me, starting to ask what I'm doing. So I turned to her and said, "I'm not doing this. I'm trying my best to make you happy. You don't value my time, my talents, my efforts, or my thoughts." I gave her the rest of the fabric and told her she can find another seamstress to do the job, but I'm not doing it. She has been incredibly angry ever since, and my sisters think I took it too far and should have just sewn the set. I did feel bad for telling her to find someone else 5 days left to the wedding. So what do you think? Am I the asshole? Hell no.
It's going to be a no for me. Definitely a no. Right. And here's the thing. How would she feel if, or how would the mom feel if the daughter went into her place of business and was like, no, do it my way, and started like screaming, yelling, and mistreating her? Like, absolutely not. I feel like there's a lot of things that I have to say about this, but like, here's the thing. Like, when you work for yourself, people don't really value your time the same way they do if you are going in and working for someone else, right? And this is like something that I have like talked to my husband about a lot, because like in the middle of my workday, right? And my workday is interrupted anyway because I'm working, then I stop to pick my kids up, and I'm running carpool with them. And Monday through Wednesday, we have long days. Then Thursday, my son doesn't get done with capoeira until like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, right? But what I'm saying is that my workday is already broken up already. And I get random phone calls, and it's like, well, why can't you talk right now? Like, I get it. I work for myself, so I do have some more flexibility. But also, I would love it if my work could also be respected the same as it was when I worked in an office, right? So that's point number one. Like, people need to understand that whether we work at home or whether we're working outside of our home, we're at work and our time should be valued as such. The second thing is the mistreatment here. Like, the mistreatment.
But so, okay, so first thing, and I was thinking this culturally, this was giving me not America. This was really almost giving me African. Just in terms of the mother thinking like that, this authoritarian figure. This is what it was giving me. But you do not, like, one thing I am all about, especially working in philanthropy, is that you pay people and you honor people for their time, talent, and treasure at all times.
It's a word.
And if you want something from me, I have something that is, you find that is a commodity. Yes, you might have given birth to me, but you're going to respect me and my time, talent, and treasures and what I can do that you cannot. This is also part of the reason that I'm always leery to sew for family.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because family don't know how to act most days.
It really be your own people, right? Like, not even just your own kids, but it really be your own people. Because on that note, right? It's like, I get it that culturally speaking, there are some cultures where that is the case, where, you know, parents do feel that. But I also feel like we're in a different day and age, right? Like, and I think that she is absolutely in the right for setting her boundaries and setting, you know, her mom along her way. I do think that she probably should have set that boundary earlier on, though, right? Like, during the point where she was like speaking to her just any old way. And I say that because, like, my mom, not putting too much of my business out there, but my mom and I, after I had my oldest child, we bumped heads, right? And I remember thinking to myself, there's no way that anyone will ever witness anyway, my children will ever witness someone disrespecting me. It doesn't matter if it's my mom or some rando on the street. It's just not going to happen, right? Because I don't ever want them to think that at any point in time, it's okay to disrespect me. So I had to set that hard boundary with my mom that look, hey, listen, pause, pre-K pause, okay? Let's remember that we're both adults here and we can have a conversation. Like, let's talk with respect and let's honor each other, right? Because yes, the Bible says honor their mother and their father, but also the Bible also demands that we treat each other as though we would like to be treated, right?
But also, let's also put in this, especially as adults, and you are a married adult, you're supposed to leave the house of your parents and cleave to your husband or wife. And in that case, when that happens, you basically are becoming very much should be seen as an adult because you're no longer in their house, and there should be a level of mutual respect. And I think, especially as Black people, I think that we struggle with the idea of mutual respect. And I'm all about respecting my elders. All about it. But if you come at me 10 carat, I reflect energy that you give me.
We're mirrors. What was the old saying? Whatever you say bounces off of me and sticks to you, because that's what we are. Look, I'm rubber, you're glue.
Or look, or we can go to some, like, as some of the African ancestral spiritualities say, this will be a return to sender, and when it's returned, it's going to be
Return
10,000 fold.
to sender. Yeah, no. It's always going to be a no to me, because I feel like, and we touched on this last episode, that when people find out that you sew, they feel entitled to your gifts, right? They feel entitled to your skill set. They feel entitled to that. And I think that that's wrong, right? It's funny because this makes me think of a thread that I saw my Morehouse brother ask this on Facebook, and he asked, should your spouse be your number one fan? Right?
Okay.
People were like, no. My answer was like, yes, absolutely. We can't, first of all, we can't be friends if you aren't my fan. We definitely can't go together if you aren't my fan. Why? Because at the end of the day, when you love someone, you want to see them win, right?
Yes.
So in my opinion, that's fanning. That's fangirling, right? Like the way that I fangirl over some Julian Collins. Okay? What?
Right.
Julian, in fact, we have some more on this topic a little bit later, but Julian step out, and please believe I'm gonna be the first one liking a post. I'm gonna be sharing, right? Because when you love someone, you want to see them succeed, right? Whether that's fanning, like being a fan for them or not. My mom, even though we have had some rocky past and stuff like that, my mom is my fan. Anytime that I have made, even when I've made steps that she didn't understand, right? Because I walked out of corporate America, and I didn't walk out of corporate America and have all of this money that I was already making from my business, right? That's not how I left the corporate world. I walked out and I was like, well, shit, I'm about to freestyle it, and we're gonna make it do what it does as we navigate this space. And even then, she was my number one supporter, right? My patterns dropped. She has all of the patterns. She has all of the patterns that have me on the cover, whether they are mine or not, right? She's bought the thread. She's not sewing anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like my mom, when I was on the Tamron Hall show, she recorded it, right? She's out here sharing it with her friends and stuff like that, right? She may not understand why I'm doing what I'm doing, but if I'm sharing it with her, then she's fangirling. Absolutely, right? Because I feel like when you love people, you want to see them succeed. And being abusive with how you talk to someone, that's not love, and that's not wanting to see them succeed. That's not wanting to see them win. And I have a problem with that, especially even as a mother, like as a mom. Mm-hmm. So my oldest daughter, she's a talented cook. She cooks really well, right? I have never once made her feel like she owes me anything because of that. Now, she did make dinner tonight, and she does get paid for it, right? Because she's going above and beyond what the basics are for a child. And I honor that in her, and I don't want to make it seem like I expect that from her. So I feel like even as a mom, I would never walk up to my oldest and be like, well, why didn't you cook dinner yet? Or I don't like the way that tastes. You need to go back in there and remake it. Like, what? And as a parent, when we set that standard for disrespect, then that means that our children begin to internalize that this is how they should accept for people to treat them. And that is an absolute no. There's no way in hell that my kids think that it's okay to be disrespected. You know what I'm saying? Like
and the work it takes to unlearn that, as I'm going through it now.
Right. Because we are the adults over here doing the work to heal right now.
Yes. And then these parents wonder why they in nursing homes and ain't got kids to talk to them.
This is what I'm saying. And then they be like, but I'm your elder. No. I have agency over who it is that I associate with. And my thing about my kids is I want them, when they no longer have to have me, I want them to actively choose me. Right? Like, I don't want it to be like, oh, I can't wait to move up out of my mom's house. You know, I have no agency. I feel like I can't even be no. If you don't feel like you can be yourself around me, I need to make that adjustment. And I feel like as a sewist, as a parent, as a daughter, she is not the asshole.
Look, not at all. Not at all. And clearly the mama don't know how to sew, because one thing that we all know about with sewing is that you got to have ease, because you got to sit down or something. You got to walk in it.
Because when she go ahead and pop them stitches, she over here sounding like snap, crackle, and pop.
At the wedding.
At the wedding.
Ass out. What you gonna do then? What you gonna do?
Ma'am.
I just want to know.
Your thong is showing. What you about to do?
Spanks everywhere. Just
everywhere.
Because she a mama, so she probably gonna have some Spanks or something. Because clearly she wanted to.
Be clear, I'm gonna have my Spanks on when we at Frocktails. It's fine.
I've already ordered mine. We don't play.
I got you if you need help getting into them, because I'm definitely about to be like Julian. I'm just saying. I just put on lotion, so can you just?
This is what we do. It's all right.
Help your sister out.
It's all right. Yeah, we're ready. We're ready.
We are ready. We are ready.
So yes, that is. Thank y'all so much. If you have different similar stories like this, or you see something on Reddit that you think we should talk about on the podcast, please make sure that you are sending that to us.
Yes.
Now, can we just take a moment? Because I think we need to talk about. So I wish y'all had cameras to see what I see. Because first of all, Aaronica's over here looking radiant, looking like she's fully ready to be interviewed today. Because y'all heard me, you heard about me last week. Y'all about to hear about her today. And first of all, she made this dress on live. I saw it this morning. Done took pictures in it with this, hair looking cute with the side part, the makeup, the lipstick. Look, she is out here winning. And this color is giving.
Julian, did you hear me when I was like, oh, I need to change my needle, but Julian isn't on here, so I'm okay?
Clearly, I wasn't. I clearly got off for a second. We'll talk about that. That's going to be another episode. Lord have mercy. But the dress is giving. I love the color.
Thank you.
The color is giving.
Clearly, I need to wear more purple because, I don't know. Literally, everyone who saw me today was like, oh, I love that dress. Because I don't wear purple. I don't know why. I just don't wear purple.
You have to wear purple. I think Black people, melanin skin always looks good in purple. Period.
Royalty.
And especially the shade of it is in the way that it's playing with your renewed hair color. It's working. It's working. So definitely something to remember.
That means a lot from you.
Child, I ain't nobody. I'm just over here trying to live my life, looking like country bumpkin and all. It's all right.
You're the reason why I have no idea what I'm wearing to Frocktails. Like, I see other people making their stuff. But listen, y'all, when you guys see these pictures of Julian and Frocktails, I promise you guys are going to be like, shut the front door. And your girl is really just over here like, how can I make sure that my fly matches his? Like, I just want to arrive and make sure that I'm on my brother's arm. And that when we walk in, they're like, it's not even a snack. They are the appetizer, the entree, the dessert, all in one.
I'm just trying to make sure that I ain't overhyped my outfit. I mean, I'm proud of it. I'm definitely proud of it. I'm excited to wear it. I feel I accomplished something that was on a list for a long time. I've always wanted to make a suit and was scared of it. So
and then you did it and rocked the hell out of it. Like, I mean,
in a fabric that ain't a suit fabric, because you don't usually make a suit out of a ponte, especially.
And then you got my husband over here looking at me like, you gonna make me one too? Like, wait, hold on a second. My name is Aaronica Cole, not Julian Collins.
I mean, but I just hope it all. I just need to take some good pictures in it, and I think I will feel happy, and I'll feel confident. I'm excited. Like I'm proud of what I created, but I'm still like worried because we in a room of sewers, and when you get around other sewers, I'm like, oh Jesus, they're gonna be staring. And if a seam ain't in the right spot, or if the pleat ain't right, if you just want to be right,
I get it.
I'm chasing wrinkles and drag. I'm like, Jesus. Let me figure it out. But we're going to go and we're going to have a good time. And the reason, so you got to understand it. So I start early with stuff. Like, I'm not a going out person. I don't mind staying home, period. You ain't going to see me at a lot of parties, clubs, and stuff like that. We trying to do new things. But one way that helps me to get excited for something is if I can make something to wear for it. That gives me confidence. That's how I build it up. So literally, as this came up, and we had to buy tickets early because this sold out event. We literally bought these.
Sold out.
Well, we bought these in August.
Either July or August.
Right. So
Possibly July, because I really feel like I was recovered from surgery and I was like, Julian, I bought these tickets. No, maybe
right.
it was August because the original drop was July 20th, my birthday, and I did not get it.
There we go. Yep. And so once we like literally after I bought the ticket, I started buying the fabric.
Mm-hmm.
And understand that I literally bought, so like I didn't like test fabrics. I literally bought 3 different options. And each option was at least 7 to 8 yards. So so yeah, it was I mean, money was spent just in prep alone.
Mm-hmm.
In pattern. And so just to let people know, I was extra. So the original plan was to really film this as content. I was going to make this 70s suit. So I'm using a pattern from 1972 on a vintage machine. And I bought 2 vintage machines to use for this project. One was a dead stock machine, meaning that it was a machine from the 70s that had not been ever used, literally
Wow.
still in the box. And I used it for a bit, and then it started acting like it was going on a smoke break, like it was smoking a pack of Newports. Because of course, it had been
Not
in
the
the box
menthol.
for years.
Not the menthol.
I mean, look, let's ban that. How about that? Anywho, yeah. So, I'm using a modern fabric with a vintage machine. I'm like, no, this ain't giving me what I need. So I went to a modern machine, but we still did as a pattern stated for the vintage, for a lot of vintage stuff and the hand sewing and stuff like that. I'm glad I took the time I did, because otherwise, yeah, no, this couldn't have happened if I tried to do it in a week. No way.
I'm so excited about that.
So let's talk about your outfit.
Okay. I got it together because here's the thing, right? Like, don't get me wrong. I will definitely absolutely make the original plan for the dress. And if you're wondering what was the original plan for my dress, I had planned on making Emmy 2037, which is my pattern. It's the cover up for the swimsuit. And I was going to turn it into a wrap dress to give like this very vintage goddess feel, which I don't know. Now that I've said it aloud, I'm like, maybe I will go back to it. Don't know. But here's the thing. Julian is doing gold.
Yes.
And I
Golden
feel
purple.
like, right, but I feel like I need to be in a metallic, like, I don't know. I feel like I need to be in like a metallic saucy bit to like match your vibe, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to hack my first indie pattern, which is the Cali pattern, to create a one shoulder, like, deliciousness that will have a high slit because listen, we stand for a maxi with a high slit, right? Because we're going to be showing thigh, right?
Absolutely.
Y'all are going to get the cellulite. So enjoy, eat it up. Okay.
Yes.
And
Sip
I
the buffet.
have metallic fabric.
Oh, okay. Yep. Mm-hmm. Okay. I
So
allow this.
I feel like it'll be a very easy, you know what I mean? Like I don't have to, it's not like I have to go out and buy anything. I already have everything that I need. I think I have metallic fat thread. If I don't, I'm not gonna make a big deal out about that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I'm feeling like that will give me what I would like, right? Like I'll still be sporting one of my patterns. I
Right.
will still be, and I'm like, I have all this metallic fabric. Don't ask me why I have so much metallic fabric. But I'm like, where else am I going to wear it to?
True.
Right?
Right.
What else am I going to do with this metallic fabric that I've had literally for probably 3 to 4 years?
Oh yeah.
If not to dress it up and to do this. So, the Cali dress is going to be hacked. And I figure, you know what? I'm going to pull a Julian and I think I might create the content that comes along with it.
I love it. As my dog is losing her mind.
But yeah, so I think that, in fact, I think it was actually Julian. I think you sent me the look that I'm going for, and you were like, oh, I think you can hack the Cali to be this. I think there's a possibility that you're the one who actually sent me the look a long time ago, like back when I dropped the Cali, probably a couple months later, and you were like, oh, I think you can use your pattern to do this. And I was like, oh, I can. So it's going to have a vintage feel to it because of course, Julian is into vintage and since his is finished, we're following his style.
But also it's a vintage party. So this is the theme is disco glamour. So people are Like, and honestly, like, and seeing people post their makes and post their process, I'm like, am I even doing enough? Let's be real, because people is going.
Sir,
This is where my mind
sir,
goes. Just
sir.
work with me. But again, so you're gonna do this tomorrow, correct?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, is there another choice?
I might actually decide to cut it tonight. I don't know. When I picked the kids up from school, I definitely had a double shot of espresso, and that was at like 3:30.
Okay. Yeah, you're gonna be up. So you might as well.
I know. Either that or I'll at least at the bare minimum, because it'll probably take me about an hour to make. Let's be real here. So I might decide to just do it before I go to the doctor. I have a doctor's appointment in the morning. I might actually meet up with Dejanay. I don't know, because I'll be in her neck of the woods. But yeah,
I
I'm
think
just
she's out of
like,
town.
hmm?
I think she's out of town.
Is she?
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't think so. She texted me today and she was like, hey girl, do you want to meet up for dinner?
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, so
This is what happens when you get friends to talk, even in a podcast. We're gonna talk about.
I mean, we're gonna give you the tea. We can give you the little chitty chat, right?
Right. Telling all our business. But I am excited. I'm glad that you have the vision, that we're ready to go. We're gonna have a good time.
We are gonna have a good time.
Because we have some tours scheduled. We're going to explore the city a bit and just vibe out. And it's gonna be good. It's gonna be fun.
And I've in my vision, in my head, I've chosen one outfit to bring with me.
Okay. Okay. I'm excited.
I know, that's as far as I've gotten.
And I have, like, my Frocktail stuff is already packed, including accessories. It's all it's in the back already. And I'm sorry.
Julian, just come and get my life together.
I can barely get my own.
I don't know, man, because you said you're already packed. I'm like, if
what my
prepared
Frocktail
call doesn't mean last minute Molly, I don't know what this is.
One, like, my Frocktails outfit is packed, and some jeans are packed, and some shirts are washed. That's all I got. That's all I got. But things will start.
I did make a new shirt to bring with me so that we could have our coordinated outfits. And I know it's not like a lot of material. You guys can't see this.
You don't need to be
on my timeline at some point in time, but
yes,
it's giving strappy sexiness. And I think I can pair that with maybe like an oversized cardi to give a good juxtaposition of like a little showy with a little coverage, right?
I love it. I love it. It's gonna be good.
It is gonna be good.
And I washed our shirts and I washed my other ones. So yeah, we're ready. I'm gonna be a lot of rainbow, a lot of bright. So you know how I do.
I'm excited.
So are you ready for me to get my Barbara Walters on and just ask you other?
Come on, Barbara.
So y'all, again, these are the questions that we really want to ask other artists, other souls, other crafters in the space. But to get to know us better, we're going to start with each other. So y'all heard me answer these questions last time, but now it's Aaronica's turn to sit in the hot seat. So are you ready?
I'm ready. I just like your answers really left me even more enamored with you last week, that I am just like, goodness, I hope that I have as much wisdom to share.
Child, and I was just speaking off the dome. So we want to hear you. We want to hear your essence and everything. So just speak as you feel the utterance to do so.
Got it.
So our first question for you: what inspired you to pursue a creative path, whether it was sewing, crafting, but because you are a super mom and you do a lot of things. You work in a lot of spaces and just being eco-friendly and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. What inspired you to pursue this creative path?
It's funny because I would have never thought that this is what I would have pursued, to be completely honest. Growing up, I come from a family of artists. Like my grandfather was the bassist for Duke Ellington. He knew how to play all of the instruments, right? My dad is a fantastic artist where he does sculptures. Like he's had sculptures up in like parks in New York. My brother is a fantastic writer, creative writer. He does like really great artwork. My cousin, he does like my tattoos and stuff like that. So I come from a really creative family, but because I used to do watercolors, but because I wasn't like my definition of creative based off of what I saw, I never
Mhm.
thought that I was creative, right? Um, so even the notion of me being a creative is still something that I'm working to digest, right? Because when I worked, I was in an analytical role, right? I have a degree in psychology and then I have an MBA in business and marketing, which I do suppose there is creativity there. But I used to think of myself as a really analytical thinker. Like I had done internships where I learned the GE workout process, which talks about like thinking in more efficient terms. Um, I learned about Six Sigma. I used to work in HR. So like these are things that I loved and that came naturally to me, which was about, in essence, just really making processes more efficient. And that's how my brain works, which of course is probably the reason why I so fast, because there's things that I skip or there's more efficient ways that I see that they could be produced. But I thought that I would be in that space for forever. Um, and I started back sewing like this after I had my second daughter. And I was just like, oh, well, I will design this pattern because my friend said that she wanted to buy baby Ankara wax pants. She knew that I sewed a little bit. And she was like, can you make them? And I was like, yes. In my head, I'm always like, of course I can do it. Do I know how to? Not normally, but we're going to figure it out. We're going to make it happen. Right. That's always my thought process. We can just make it happen. And so then I just really started sewing like more consistently. And I was like, oh, wow, I like this. But when you do pattern tests, they ask you to spam. And so I was like, all right, well, I'll just post these things, you know what I mean? And not really expecting for my audience to grow and not really expecting for this to be a path for me because I didn't know anything about how to draft patterns, but I hacked the hell up out of some patterns, right? And that's how I got noticed by the pattern designers because I would take a couple of different patterns and completely redo them into one pattern, right?
Mhm.
And but I never would have thought that this was going to be where I ended up, and I think that a lot of it has to do with because I was not trained. I didn't go to school. I'm not like trained in fashion. I've never taken a course in fashion design or fashion art. I've taken one class for sewing, and that was when I was 13. So that was like 17 years ago. And I only took one class. So literally everything else has been self-taught. Um,
Mhm.
so I didn't think that this was going to be it. I just thought that this was, oh, this is fun. And it's a really, yes, it's fun, but it's fun in a way that's productive, right? And that matters. Like, not fun in a way like, oh, yes, I just put this up on my wall, but oh, fun in the fact that, oh, I made a whole wardrobe, or oh, I saw that wasn't in my size and I designed it and made it for myself and it fits my body, you know. So I never thought that I would be out here drafting patterns. I never thought that I would be out here designing fabrics. I never thought that I would be out here doing any of this. But I enjoy it so much that it feels like a natural progression.
I love it. And now it makes perfect sense why you do so fast when you said Six Sigma and just kind of those processes.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about that later. So, kind of keeping that in mind, tell us about a particularly audacious or bold move you've made in your creative journey, and how did that really impact your life or career?
Um, let's see. I feel like it's funny because like when people think of me, they're like, "Oh, you're so bold, you're so this." And I don't think that people understand that I am scared as I do everything, right? Um,
Same.
like I am very nervous. I struggle with anxiety. Um, and people are like, "No, you don't struggle with any of these things or imposter syndrome because you still do it." But my goals that I have for myself and who I am aren't often meeting, but my goals will always outweigh where I am right now, especially because cerebrally, I know that if I can pull myself out of this, that I can go further. And I really want to go further. When I got pregnant with my oldest, and that's probably the thing that is probably the biggest thing that I've ever done, right? And that's probably the biggest and boldest move that I did, was to become a single mom. And that is the catalyst for what changed in my life. But I was told that I couldn't have kids. My practice husband and I, we tried for a year and a half without success. And when I went to the doctor, he told me that they would need to do some intervention and that they would need to do some fertility treatments and testing and things like that. But I knew that I was filing for divorce. And I was like, I'm okay. Like, I'm good. I don't need to do any of that, because here's the thing. If it's meant for me, it's going to be meant for me regardless. So whether it's through me birthing my children or whether it's me adopting children, I'll be a mom. Like, that's fine. I don't need that.
Right.
And then in 2009, I filed for divorce. I got laid off. I lost my apartment because I didn't have an income. And then I found out that I was pregnant. And I grew up Roman Catholic, so an abortion for me was out of the question. I do believe that every woman should have the right to choose, but for me, I just could not go through with it emotionally, even though at the time it's like absurd. Like, you don't even have a pot to piss in. What are you doing bringing a kid into the world? But I still chose to do that because at the end of the day, my one dream, like in my entire life, was to become a mom. That's all I wanted. I didn't care about a husband. I didn't actually care about any of those other things, but I knew I wanted to have 3 kids and I wanted to be a mom. Like, I knew that. So because I was able to kind of fulfill that lifelong dream of mine, I made the choice to keep my daughter. And I knew that I was pregnant with a girl. And I knew that because of that, I had to make sure that the decisions that I made from that point on were such a way that if my daughter was looking for a role model, she didn't have to look further than me. Right. And it came full circle for me when I walked out of corporate and I started my website, thecrunchymommy.com. And my oldest looked up at me and said, "Mommy, can I become a crunchy mommy? Can I be the crunchy mommy?" And I was like, of course. So for me, I think that, making the decision to have my daughter and allowing that decision to mature me in other areas of my life was really the biggest and boldest move that I could have ever made.
I love that. And the fact that you, as you said, you do it scared. Sometimes in my head, I'm kicking and screaming.
Yes.
And I might be literally cussing myself out through the whole process. But I know that there's still movement that has to be made.
Yes.
That's the only way I win. So
yes,
that is, yes, synergy. We're on that same page there. And I think, especially with your audience kind of coming from the Crunchy Mommy and all the work that you have done, we do have a lot of creative entrepreneurs. Can you share your top advice for turning a creative hobby into a successful business?
You've got to remember your why, right? I think that oftentimes, you have to remember your why, but then you also have to remember that if you plan on turning a profit, and it might be your passion, it's still a business. And you have to face it as such, right? One of the things that I used to travel to different blogger conferences and talk to bloggers specifically about how to switch from being a hobby to an entrepreneur, right? And a lot of times bloggers would just be like, "Oh, this is just for hobby." And they wouldn't have financial goals for the month. They wouldn't have their business plans written out. They wouldn't have their marketing objectives done. They wouldn't have their content planned out, right? There was no greater goal, right? There wasn't, I'm thinking about how this is going to impact me in 5 years, in 10 years, et cetera. So I think that that's probably my biggest advice is, yes, it started out as a hobby, but the second that you decide that you would like to turn a profit from it, especially to leave your 9 to 5, you have to work it as though it's a business. And 9 to 5ers will show up for their boss, right? You show up to work. You show up for that meeting. You prioritize your workflow, right? You have the things that you have to have as outputs, right? You have to take that into your creative business as well. So when you don't feel like it, you still got to show up, right? When you want to clock out, but you still haven't completed your task for the day, you still got to show up. I remember my Spelman sister said this to me and this was the nail that made it so that I knew I was going to walk out. She said, "You work this hard for people you don't even like. Imagine what you could do for yourself." Right? and you love yourself. And for
Mm.
me, I think that the biggest thing that anybody going from a creative hobby to a creative business is take themselves seriously and take their business so seriously.
I love that. I love that. Okay. So, especially in thinking of your why
Mhm.
and treating yourself like as that business and treating your passion and stuff for that, how do you stay motivated to and inspired to create, especially during like those challenging times? Like, what really makes you keep on going?
I don't. Here's the thing, right? Like I don't have the mentality. I don't have that hustle all the time mentality. I don't believe in it, right?
Love it.
I don't think that we should be out here hustling all the time, like hustle, hustle, hustle. I'll sleep when I'm dead, blah, 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 blah. No, no, no. That's not for me, right? Normally, if I'm facing burnout or if I'm facing a creative block, it's because of one of three reasons or all of these compounded, right? One, I haven't taken enough downtime. I haven't scheduled enough rest time. Two, I haven't had enough me time. Like I haven't engaged in self-care, right? Like as entrepreneurs, I think that we forget about that. And a lot of times we will place the self-care that we deserve based off of our productivity or what we measure as success, which is normally money, right?
Mhm.
Um, and you can't do that. And of course, the third thing is not enough engaging with people outside of talking about business, right? You should absolutely have your entrepreneurial friends who you talk about those business ideas with, you talk about these things, but you also need to have those moments where you're not thinking about work, where you're not thinking about the business, where you're not thinking about your next move. You have to have the downtime to balance out going, 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 right? So those are the things that typically impact me. And if I'm having a creative rut, I allow myself to have that space to take that break and to feed myself in other ways. So for example, when I had my double mastectomy and I couldn't really sew, and for me, I have to stay busy. That's who I am as a person. I picked up knitting.
Hmm.
And now I knit in the evenings, right? Like I'm working on a blanket once my son finds my other knitting needle, right? Listen, I'm so mad about this. I digress. I knitted together like this little tube top. I was like, okay, like we're gonna celebrate these new boobs, right? We got rid of the potentially traitorous titty, so we're gonna celebrate and we're gonna make a little tube top situation, right? So I think that we have to, as creatives and as entrepreneurs, we have to allow ourselves to have that downtime. That time
Mhm.
away from our machines, that time away from, always going. Read a book, listen to an audiobook, play with your kids, have them design something, do something away from what you would normally be doing.
Love it. I love it. And plus, now you also have the perfect project that or perfect product that can help with this, which is your offline sewing moments. That if
Absolutely.
you need a little something to help respark that creativity that is outside of your regular, go
Hmm.
check that out. It's available on her website as well as her TikTok shop. So
You better
just
plug me, Julian.
gotta plug that in there. Plug that in there. Um, so in your experience, what role does audacity or fearlessness play um in achieving success as a creative individual?
So, I think that in order for you to show up for yourself, you actually have the audacity. You have to have the audacity to believe in yourself, right?
Mhm.
Um, we believe in others, but oftentimes it's the hardest to believe in ourselves. We'll bet on others, but it's always hard to bet on us. And I think that it takes a lot of audacity to show up and to be like, oh, yeah, I deserve to be in this room. Even if there's some little voice that's telling you, you shouldn't be here. You have the audacity to make your own table when there's not a seat for you at a table that you desire. Right. And I think that being a creative, there's a special level of audaciousness that comes along with it, right? Because as creatives, we're told you'll never make money. There's no money in that. There's no money in that. There's no money in that, right? I remember telling, like, my dad had said something about needing money. And so I had gone to his office and I was drawing things out and I was selling the drawings because I was like, oh, well, we need money, right?
Mhm.
And I remember thinking to myself, well, I can turn a profit, right? Because at that point in time, actors, actresses, creatives are like, you're not going to make any money. There's no money in this. And I was like, but I can sell these here paintings. And so I'm out here selling the paintings. I'm out here doing it. It takes a lot of audacity to go against what people are telling you you can't do or you can do, and to show that you can do it. Even if immediately you don't turn a profit, but you still show up, right?
Right.
Like my first year in entrepreneurship, I didn't turn a profit. Like literally a year to the day, we had run out of money and we could not afford to pay our rent. And I was a mother of two and I was married and he had a full-time job. And I didn't have money, but I was still showing up. I was still doing the thing. I was still working as though I was making hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? You got to have audacity. You have to have fearlessness in order to do it, right? I don't think that in entrepreneurship, you can navigate without being scared because there was no playbook for what I do, right? There's no playbook for how to do this. You're literally going through it at the time. Now there's some playbooks for how to become a blogger. Like I've got courses up in my Stand store that teach you how to do this and how to do it successfully and how to streamline it so it doesn't take you as long as it took me to turn a profit. But back then there was nothing, right? There was nothing that taught you how to do this. And I was scared. And I was like, oh my God, like I'm a mom of two. I don't know if we can afford groceries. I feel irresponsible, blah, 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 blah. But I still did it. Right. And it takes a lot. Like you don't stop the fear from coming, but you don't let the fear stop you from going.
That's the quote. You don't stop the fear.
That's it. I'm just trying to get some sound bites like my man, Julian.
But yes, because I think you have to keep on going. You have to show up for yourself. And a lot of times we don't do that enough anymore.
We don't.
We don't show up for ourselves as much as we need to, as much as we do for others. And we need to change that. We definitely need to change that. And I think, and you spoke a little bit about this, especially as you talked about like Six Sigma and the way that the organizational thought process that you put into your sewing helps make processes easier. But usually for others, especially me, because I sew, crafting and sewing often requires a lot of time and patience and like precision. How do these qualities translate into other aspects of your life, such as decision making or problem solving?
So, one of the things that I like to think that I do is I like to take the path of least resistance, right? Like I'm not going to be out here struggling. So in sewing, that shows up as my threads may or may not match the garment.
Oh yeah, no, we don't do that often.
Or we might just be saying, hey, it's like remix, it's a contrast, right? And I think that having that level of flexibility definitely applies in like life as a parent, right? Like I was talking to my husband about this last week. Last week, he went to go and take the kids to school, but something was going on with his car. And I was like, okay, it's cool. I got out of bed. Now listen, y'all already know I'm not a morning person. So your girl be awake, but I'm not like up and running along with him and the kids. We're working on it becoming my ministry. But as I'm driving, and I was like, come on, just like ride with me with the kids, like just get in the car and we can just make it a family drop off, instead of like being cranky about having to get out the bed, or instead of allowing him to sit even in his crankiness, I was just like, I shouted out remix, like, and now this is our morning. Right. So I think that that level of flexibility, but I also feel like in sewing, I have taught myself to make clothing that fits my body. And so I don't have to shrink. And I find myself not feeling like I have to shrink in other places as well. Right. Like I feel like one, as a Black woman, two, as a fat Black woman, right, we're made to feel like we should be shrinking. Like just make yourself so that you're more palatable. Make yourself so that you don't stand out. Make yourself so that you're shy, quiet, et cetera, right? Especially because when you're fat, people have all these preconceived notions. Oh, she's lazy. She doesn't take care of herself. She doesn't love herself. She doesn't work out, et cetera, right? But I feel like through sewing, I have learned and I've become more empowered to exist in the truth of who I am, right? Whether it's the fact that I really love to mix and match my patterns, whether or not they follow the rules or not. Like, there doesn't even have to be yellow in my bottoms. If I'm gonna wear yellow on top, I don't care. I don't care. And
Right.
so the way that that even translates in is I don't care what other people think of me. I don't have time. I don't have time to do that. What I have time and patience for is to show up for myself in a way that feels really good to me. Um, so even in the clothing that I make, it feels good to wear, right? I'm not going to be sitting here uncomfortable. It's just not for me. It's not my
Look.
ministry. Okay. Just taking a page out of my brother's book. It's just not my ministry. Uncomfortable for what?
And
Because
that
not
is,
for me.
yes, yes. You have to choose you first.
You have
Choose
to choose you first.
choose GD this day. You're gonna choose yourself. How about that?
Hmm. So
Make it sound like Bible. So it sounds real professional and
yes,
like you have to internalize it.
internalize it. Put it in your spirit.
Right. Look. So so can you share a personal story about a project or creation that holds a special place in your heart and what makes it meaningful to you?
Um, I love sewing for my kids. I do.
Mm-hmm.
But I especially love to sew for my son. And the reason why is probably because as far as body types go, he's probably the most similar to my body type. He is thick and juicy, gives the best hugs in the world. Oh my God. But it also makes his like finding clothes for him really hard. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember um he had put on a pair of pants and he was like, "Mommy, this hurts my belly." And I was like, "Okay, mommy will make you new clothes tonight." And that night I stayed up and I made him some new sweaters, some new pants, some things that were in his size so that he didn't have to feel the pinching on his stomach. And for me, that was really memorable because when I was 6, I was wearing a 6X. And I was
Mm.
told at the time that it was because I was extra large and because I was big. It's not what 6X means. 6X is because you're taller, not because
Right.
you're necessarily wider. But that was the first memory that I have of being body shamed, right? And being made to feel self-conscious about my body and being made to feel like because there was an X, I wasn't as good as others.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that I can make it so that my kids don't have to go through that. And knowing that I get to reframe body growth for them, um, is so impactful for me, right? Because when he woke up the next morning, he had new clothes that he could put on that he loved and he felt really comfortable in. And to me, it's important, right? It's important that when my kids go to therapy, they aren't going to therapy because they have to undo something that mommy said or did to them. You know what I'm saying? It's important to me that they always feel the warm embrace of mommy's love, right? So when they put something on that they love, like another example, Aurora, my middle child, she was just starting a new school. She got invited to a birthday party. She was really nervous, didn't feel the most confident. And I was like, "Do you want me to make you something?" And she was like, "Yes, I want some overalls." She picked out the fabric, she put it on. And I swear I wish that I could have recorded her face because the look of pure joy and pride that she had on and what she was wearing just made me feel so good because she felt good in what she had on and what she was leaving the house in. And that makes me feel amazing. Yes, I make myself so many beautiful things and I love it. But
Mm-hmm.
my proudest things are the things that I make my kids because of how they feel when they wear it.
I love it. I love it. So, and this rolls into the next question. What advice do you have for parents or caregivers who want to nurture creativity and audacity in their children, or even not even caregivers, but just adults who want to nurture that
Mhm.
in youth around them?
I love the way that you answered that. And I feel like my answer is similar to that. I think that we have to stop expecting kids to be who it is that we have in our head that they're to be and allow
Mm-hmm.
them to exist and be who they are. Um, I feel like so often we want kids to be this certain thing, be these ways. And if they aren't, then we're especially hard on them. And I feel like that damages so much of them. People can change their weight. They can change how they look. They can change all of these things. But the core of who we are is always beautiful. And I think that we should begin to nurture who we actually are versus who we want them to become. Like my greatest desire for my children is for them to grow up and be safe, happy, and healthy. That's it. I don't give a fuck what they are. Right. I just want them to show up and give their all. If they want to be a veterinarian, excellent. Let me go buy some dogs so that I can go and support. Right. I want you to be the best. You know what I'm saying? If they want to be out, if they want to be a NASCAR racer, excellent, marvelous. Just make sure I have my tickets when it's time for me to show up. I want them to be happy. I want them at the end of their life to be like, man, I had an amazing life. I was so happy. I want them to look back on these moments of joy. And I don't want them to look back and be like, I wish that I had permission to live my life on my terms.
That is amazing. Fully amazing. And of course, if y'all have not seen her YouTube and all of her videos, as well as just her pages, I love the way that you show up as a parent and as a mom. It's just beautiful to see. So I just want to give you those flowers because
I appreciate that.
It is super encouraging to see, and love your kids. And, and just there is a brightness in them because of the way that you parent them.
Thank you.
That you don't always see. So I just appreciate that. And I have to share that with you. So how do you balance the business side of your craft with the joy of creating? And what tips can you give to others who are trying to juggle it?
Again, like I think you said this last week, but keep something for you, right? Mm-hmm. I remember, I feel like the joy of sewing was stolen from me when I started my Etsy shop and it kind of went viral. And then I was the only person sewing up all of these baby harem pants. I didn't price it, effectively. Mm-hmm. So I began to resent my customers. Right. So keep something for yourself and price your craft appropriately. Right. So it feels like it's worth it to you. I think that I see a lot of people lowballing, because it's like, oh, it's handmade. No, bitch, like it's handmade. That's why you see price higher. But here's the thing. My husband had to be the one to give me that reality check. I remember I was and yeah, y'all, this was before I had a serger. This was before I knew what I was doing, right? I had made this raglan dress that I had just made it for myself to try. And I posted it like on Facebook and people were like, "Ooh, I want that dress. I want that dress. I want that dress." Yeah, I sold this dress for $25.
Jesus.
And so my husband is like, "Oh, okay, this is cool, 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 cool. So how much are you selling it for?" I was like $25. He was like, You do know that you are not Target, right? Like,
right.
And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, that's too cheap. He's like, you have to remember that one, you just spent all day driving around looking for the fabric. Mm-hmm. Then you bought the wrong fabric because you couldn't find it. Then you drove someplace else to buy the fabric. You're hand cutting every single piece. You are sewing every single garment. You are shipping everything out. $25 doesn't cover it. You're not Target. And I think that is something that oftentimes crafters struggle with is in pricing our goods in a way that makes it so that we feel good selling it and like it was worth us spending that time to make, right? Because we're adults, like everything is an investment at this point in time, right? I said this about friendships and I this is also business. Like if I take time to talk to you on the phone, I'm investing in this relationship. Why? Because I have 3 children that could probably use some attention. I have a sewing studio that could probably use some attention with being cleaned up, right? I have a husband who I love and I love to shower with attention, right? I could probably be working out, meal prepping, doing any one of the goals that I have for myself. But if I feel like I would like to make this investment in you, it's an investment, right? It's not anything else. So you have to take your crafts and things that you're selling. That time is also an investment. So make it worth it.
I love it. I love it. So lastly, what's on the horizon in the world of crafting, sewing, or other creative endeavors besides working on your outfit tomorrow because that got us to get done? Any other exciting projects or future audacious goals you'd like to share?
Okay, let's see. Of course, my threads have dropped with Aurifil, my collection of threads.
Amazing.
I don't even want to use it because I really feel like those colors are just amazing. And I have to get out of my head about that because they're meant to be used. I am, of course, still designing my indie patterns, which I'm super excited about. I did just start a Substack that is a paid platform. So that way I can do tutorials and things like that. I've got my projector sewing classes coming up for the month of October. We've got October 14th and October 28th. So if you are interested in projector sewing, make sure you save those dates. I am teaching, Julian, I'm teaching quite literally 10 to 15 classes out at Sew Expo in Puyallup,
Washington.
Puyallup, Washington. For Sew Expo. So I have those things that are coming up, just kind of that I can think of on the top of my head. But yeah, I'm really working to create some more self-paced courses and self-paced things. People keep asking me to teach them to sew. So working on what that will even look like if I want to teach something in person, because I have about 1/8 of Julian's machine collection, and I feel like that's something, but it's not.
I mean, you don't have to be like me, but I mean, especially there are so many different ways to connect with other resources locally to help with machine gathering and stuff like that. And maybe that's something that we'll talk about one day. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the big thing for me is I miss coaching. I really miss coaching and helping other entrepreneurs. So expect some more coaching classes and things like that to come out because I really do miss it. I miss helping people achieve their goals. So
look, and just from this conversation, I'm like, let me get on the calendar now because the way I need to get some goals together, because yes, I've been flying by the seat of my pants and not being serious about Julian Creates, and we might need to make some changes in 2024.
But you know what? You know what I think I'll do? Is if you would like to book, and this is for any of the listeners, if you would like to book one of my one-off coaching sessions, which are called Think Tank sessions, where they're an hour long, where we're able to talk in detail about business goals. I typically will coach on creative business, marketing, as well as parenting. And if any of our listeners would like to book those sessions, and I will make sure that we have the link in our listener notes, there will be a special discount that is for the Audacious podcast listeners. The coupon code will be Audacious, and you will see a discount that comes off of there.
I love it. So to get that means that you have to fully listen to the episode.
That means you have to fully listen to it.
And I love it. I love it. Well, thank you for, first of all, sharing your knowledge, sharing your wisdom, sharing your love, sharing your passion, just with the audience today on a more in-depth, intimate level. So thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Thank you, Julian.
So again, make sure y'all follow, make sure y'all listening, make sure that y'all go and check out her projector classes, especially if you're thinking about getting a projector. Come on now. Y'all already know that she's the one to go to for many of the ways to set up, but not only how to set up your projector, but also how to be able to alter patterns and tell you about other different softwares that you can use.
Yes.
So you don't got to spend an arm and a leg for Adobe like I was. We ain't gonna talk about it. But yes, again, definitely make sure that you're checking out all of her information, all her links, because she's just the it. She's just the it of it all.
I really try hard too. I really do. That means a lot coming from you.
You ain't trying.
I really be trying hard.
You succeeding. It ain't trying. You succeeding.
I appreciate that. I'm gonna claim it. I'm gonna walk in that. I'm gonna walk in it.
As you should, because you stomping in it. You ain't even walking. You stomping. I love it.
I'm trying. Okay. So we have our question of the week. Our question of the week was, what is the wildest thing that someone has asked you to make for free?
Oh, Jesus.
So we have quite a few answers. So the first from someone said a wedding dress, floor and length, fully custom, hand beating corset top, and they wanted it in 3 weeks.
And I want pigs to fly. Look, no.
Pick somebody else to do it.
No.
Mm-mm. Someone says, once I had someone from a church or school group ask me to make a costume for 15 to 20 people made from scratch, but don't worry, they'll thank her on show night. This is coming right after she volunteered costuming a production of 60 kids. 60 kids? No. Julian, most days when my kids walk in and they're like placing their little orders, listen, Aurora has placed an order. She's like, we have UN Day coming up, and she is Jamaican. She's like, Mommy, I need a dress like with the Jamaican flag. And I'm like, and she's giving me like multiple weeks of lead time, and I'm still like, sis.
Again, my family asked for stuff, and I told them, you might be waiting years until it strikes me to make it. So, my time. I'm just saying, especially, and they don't want to pay. Nope, you want my time.
Yeah. Someone says boat cushions and hatch covers. Full disclosure, though, that was a request for my husband, but my poor Faf cannot handle that kind of action. People ask for things all the time. I am not a machine or robot. That last part, though, I am not a machine or robot.
That's it.
Oh my goodness, this is terrible. Detailed family coordinating Halloween costumes, namely Peter Pan, Captain Hook, and Tink. She tried to butter me up by saying how easy I make sewing look, etc. When it came clear to me she expected me to do all this for free, I was politely but firm in saying I wouldn't do this without compensation. She offered to buy me a coffee or two. It's a no for me.
A coffee.
A coffee? Ooh.
And when people disrespect my time and my talent.
Disrespect my time.
This is how friendships break down.
Right, because we aren't friends anymore.
No, you clearly don't care about me. You clearly don't respect me.
But you know what was more alarming to me is that more than one person said, make me a wedding dress for free.
That's bold. That is bold. And understand that, especially when you're asking of that. And so this is how I feel about sewing. So when I sew, especially slowly and stuff like that, there is prayer built into what I do. There's meditation and intention put in. If you're asking of something and you're asking of my time and you're not fully respecting it, there's not good intention in my heart when I make it.
I'm sewing bad intentions in here.
I'm not cursing it, but yeah, I'm not in a good space. And that may not be what you want to be on your body for a special day. I'm saying.
My mom's church lady friend gave her a bunch of old and worn Louis Vuitton purses and asked me to see if I could make something out of them. I did all right. I made myself a bum bag. I don't know what a bum bag is.
Like a little fanny pack.
Oh, that was probably real cute too.
I would too. Because but also vintage Louis Vuitton. Yes, that sounds real cute.
I probably would have made some sneakers. Not gonna lie.
Smart. I could see like a bum bag and like in a bucket hat.
A bucket hat. Okay, that would be cute.
I love it.
A medieval style bridesmaid gown out of silk velvet, and no, she wasn't providing the fabric. No. There's just no way.
No.
The audacity. It's the audacity for me. Now, I will say that like if my best friend came to me and was like, hey girl, I need you to make, it's nothing. In fact, I wouldn't even charge her because no, we have that relationship.
Right.
But I'm like, if we don't have that relationship where like it's one, I really like to sew for her because like she's so beautiful. She's had 3 kids and I personally think that she looks absolutely amazing. But she says she really only feels beautiful when she's wearing things that I've made her. And I'm like, butter me up. Shit. Tell me more. Thanks. Tell me more. What else you need made? Okay. Because I'm like, the fact that I can help you feel even more beautiful and she's drop dead gorgeous in my eyes. Oh, say less. I'll make it. Whatever.
I love it.
A curtain for a Halloween costume out of drapes. We had wow. A curtain for a Halloween costume out of drapes we had. Cut a hole for his face and painted it to match. I'm not sure what that means. I can't get the visual.
No, yeah, I would need to see a picture, but
yeah.
But if it wasn't what you wanted to,
no,
and maybe that's why it was all that, like the audacity of it. Like, you want me to cut up my good drapes, and I don't understand why. Like, are you just trying to be invisible in my curtains?
Julian, your brother Denver has asked me to hem the drapes for about 5 years now. Do you know what they aren't?
Hemmed.
You know why? He hasn't offered me not nary form of payment.
And he got all the credit cards to do so. He got all the forms that he can offer.
You know what? I don't even need credit cards, okay?
You know which ones I was talking about. Mm-hmm. So, look, I mean...
Swiper, no swiping, okay?
Look. This ain't a Cash App or Zelle type of thing, but you know what to do. You know what to do.
We accept forms of payment on these. No, I'm just joking. Whew, okay. All right, friends. And that's the tea. That's it. Yeah. Episode 2 is a wrap.
I love it. And I hope y'all will continue to listen, continue to chill with us and stuff like that. And understand that I am not acting my millennial age, and I don't know how to fully silence my computer, hence why you still getting dings and dongs. But
it's not your computer, it's his.
We're going to give you an episode. But y'all just going to get it because we are working through it. So there you go.
There it is. Hashtag good enough. And that's the tea.
Amen.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Audacious podcast.
We hope you enjoyed this audacious journey with us. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode.
And don't forget to join our creative community on Instagram at the Audacious and keep this conversation going.
If you got burning questions, audacious stories, or hot topics you want us to dive into, reach out to us on social media or at hello@theaudacity.com.
Thanks for stitching with us today. Until next time, keep those audacious dreams alive and your stitches even tighter.
Take care and stay creative.